Hi everyone and welcome back. Here's another episode. And so today we're going to be discussing immersive marketing and the customer experience and how it's really important to get quite intimate with your customer in order to get the results from your marketing today. So my name is Chris from Loyalty Media, and we are a copywriting and content marketing agency, and we help brands articulate their value to their customers. Mike?
I'm Mike Sanders, Managing Director of Oddball Marketing. We're a full-service digital marketing agency.
Thank you. And I'm Kristen Hancock. I'm a principal at Font & Swatch, and we create profound brands for mid-market Australia.
All right, so this is a complicated topic, but one that's definitely worth listening and watching because it's important today. Customers want they don't want a 2D experience, they want a 3D experience. So I think I'm going to throw to Mike because he's really quite well versed on this, and we'll build upon you. So Mike.
I think the key when you look at marketing as such, traditionally we think of marketing as this sort of attraction thing that we do, right? So how do we get more leads and opportunities coming through the door? That's what we traditionally think of marketing and advertising.
Yeah.
But marketing transcends that. It's so much more when we think about the buyer's journey, and experience is a critical piece in that whole puzzle. And so when we look at the experience, what we have to do is take another step further beyond that and say, well, what's the customer satisfaction level? And how is that? Because that then determines how likely they are to refer us to come back as a loyal customer. So what is that customer satisfaction? Well, it's the difference between the expectations that we set up for the customer in terms of what they're going to get from us, how we're going to solve their problems, to the actual experience that they receive. So the important thing to consider there is, what are we doing in the lead up in that communication to people, as well as what are we actually delivering, and making sure that the delivery and the experience that they have with us well and truly transcends any expectation they had of us.
Yes.
So I think that's a critical piece that we need to sort of think about, where, you know, if you look at it, for example, I sort of look back to the example of, say, a restaurant. You know, if you have a customer's satisfaction when they go to visit a restaurant is set up by what they're going to, by the marketing activities done prior to that then leads them to be, having an awesome experience and being completely satisfied. Take, for instance, let's say like a little sort of Asian takeaway shop that might be sort of down a back alley and stuff that you kind of think, well, hang on, this is a bit interesting. You know, your expectations for that service and what you're getting to get could be quite low.
Yeah.
Because they're really not doing much to sort of to build up the anticipation for it. But then if you get a really nice meal out of that, you know, you've got low expectations, high experience. You're like, I found this amazing little restaurant. You wouldn't even know it exists.
Yeah.
And so then you tell your friends about it. Say, hey, you got to go to this little place.
It's a gem.
It's amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whereas you compare that to, say, a 5-star restaurant, which you can go to, and the service and the experience and the food could be completely way better than what you had in that sort of small little takeaway shop. But because your expectations are set so high, because, you know, I'm going to a five-hat restaurant or whatever it is, I've got massive expectations, so that they've really got to deliver for me to be happy with it.
Yeah.
So it's not just about being better than anyone else. It's about how do you set up the expectations for what a customer's going to get from you versus what they actually get from you.
Absolutely, and I think that's the way that you should measure the success of your immersive marketing. It's kind of like, you know, you're testing the satisfaction that they're getting. But I think there's another step on that. And so for me, immersive, from a branding perspective, immersive marketing talks about how do we engage with that customer on every step of the journey, on the customer journey, so that they feel connected to us from the moment that they come across discovery. So there's the discovery element, and so what value and this is what you were saying, Mike, around what are we projecting there? So what proposition are we projecting to them there? How are we engaging with them? Versus then, as they go through discovery, consideration, procurement, and then reconnection, as they go through each one of those, have we met that initial proposition? So have we continued to connect with them? So everything, so for us, it's from the moment they first have the, first impressions, then down to, so if they're dealing with you, I'm thinking about a product, how do I get continually energized about that product? So how do I present the different value features? And then if I drift away from a website or something, do I get some sort of connectivity back through my retargeting? Because you guys do this so well, where I've visited the website, I've been looking at product A, B, and C, and then all of a sudden on my Facebook feeds and LinkedIn, I'm starting to get those products. And
refreshing the memory.
And it's not just the same stuff, but and to me, this is where immersive marketing comes in. It's about thinking about that customer journey, being really clear on how people come across us, the different channels they come from, how they perceive us each time, and then reinforcing the value proposition. But thinking about the different touch points. So if I am going to drift off, if it's a big ticket item, am I actually going to make that procurement decision on day one? Or do I actually set up an immersive marketing strategy that might involve retargeting? It might involve collateral downloads. It's got downloads, and then is there, how do I capture their details? Particularly, say if it's car buying or whatever, how do you capture the details so that you can then call them and have a face-to-face discussion, bring them in.
Drive.
So that to us is where, from a branding perspective, we consider the real immersive marketing customer journey. And then if it's smaller, Apple for us are these are the icons in immersive marketing. Not only do they give you a first impression on their website, but then right down to the point when you receive the package in the mail, you've been told it's coming, so they've built excitement over 3 or 4 emails. And then when it finally comes and you start unpacking it, the engineering that goes into the packaging, you feel like is the same engineering that's gone into the product.
It is. They're quite
Everything
masters,
just
aren't they?
reinforces that value proposition, and this is why I bought it, And don't lose the connectivity of trying to then encourage that person, particularly if they're unwrapping something, to share that experience.
Yeah.
So use that. So put a little card in there that says, all of our customers share their experiences with their friends like this, and they all show the yellow ribbon or whatever, if you know what I mean. And so that's what immersive marketing is. And from a branding.
That was a really good definition. And I think what it comes down to is today customers don't just go one touch buy. It's rare. And for the majority of businesses, that's not happening. And so what it takes is the key to unlocking immersive marketing is breaking down that, like you said, all of those milestones. And there's many different ways to do it. But sometimes it can be as simple as, what would my customer do after they first meet us? Yes. And it's like, okay, so in that response, we need an app, or we need a landing page, or we need a downloadable. And it's looking at a lot of people and a lot of businesses get overwhelmed by thinking about this. They go, our customers can interact in so many different ways. But what it comes down to is going, okay, this particular persona would probably land on this particular part. And from here, they would get this information and go here. So do we cover this? No, there's a gap there. Right, we need to put marketing in there that gives them more of an immersion experience. And then it's like, okay, so from there, they would probably then go back to a website and learn more. And then we send them to a landing page, or then we retarget.
Exactly. And this is where I love
holistic marketing.
This is where Mike's business comes into play, because you then provide the data.
And that's what the data is great.
You can see the gaps of where people are drifting off. They've come to this page 6 times, but then they've decided not to purchase.
Yeah.
So that's why marketing is so powerful. Immersive marketing is so powerful now, because you can see along that customer journey what people are doing, what action they're taking.
The key thing there in terms of for any business to do is to look at the customer journey and mapping that journey.
Yes.
And you kind of touched on that before, and the key point there is touch points.
Yes.
So it's mapping that customer journey right from acquisition, and then going through the initial phases of the buyer's journey through to the experience, and then going into sort of loyalty and then advocacy. So mapping that whole journey through, looking at each touch point and looking at, well, what are we doing as they go through those steps in that journey? What are we communicating? How are they experiencing things from what we're doing? Whether it is a product, which is a lot easier because there's something tangible and there's literally a touch point there, but it goes for services as well, because once someone engages with you, what is that next step? What is that communication that goes out or that happens as they then kind of come on board and then move along?
With services, but and it's mapping that and giving them confidence in your service. So letting the client see that you're ahead of each step. You're communicating with them well, you're telling them what's coming up, and you're ahead of what they should expect, and you're giving them the confidence that your service is going to deliver, and that's that immersive style. And you can do that in so many different ways.
Yeah.
It doesn't all have to be digital.
Yeah.
A lot of it can just be simple physical contact and give them a phone call. But as you say, Mike, map it all. Yeah. Yep. So I think I cut you off there.
No, that's exactly it. And it's looking at the different mediums that you use.
Yeah.
So in terms of touch points, it can be the packaging, the feel of it all, can be communications, whether it's an email, phone call, they're all touch points. So you've got to look at each one of those and crafting those, because they will all have a huge impact on the actual experience.
Yeah, and I find from a branding perspective, we always say to clients, do it all, but it must be on your brand identity and it must adopt tone.
Yeah.
So that's the key.
And I think we've kind of summed it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we should help on. I think that really what it comes down to, and the main insight is, think about your customer types and personas. Think about the touch points that they go through, and map out the content marketing and the content pieces and the marketing pieces and the campaigns that you need to create at each touch point to keep engagement. And it's not just for the sale; it's for the more sales and long term and nurturing.
It doesn't stop at the sale.
Yeah, like it's
the start.
the first they become a customer. Then how do we become a loyal advocate and a raving fan and all that kind of good stuff. So
there's another podcast just in that.
So thank you so much for joining us in this episode. I think we covered that topic pretty thoroughly in a nice quick time. So we're coming from the Cub Potts Point, which is the Club of United Businesses. We're members, love this place here. It's a great venue. And so please join us in the next episode.